more on them of like, why are you still talking?
Okay. Yeah, I think it gets to go into some dirty, and we just know that like,
Or just email me and then I'll forward it.
Yeah, I'll just tell them
The time things is as much as like, what the benefit is for us. So, yeah.
And like I said, always kind of covering the
Oh, another thing. You guys, because you're also going to be on the live stream. Yeah. Media release form, just to make sure you're. Well, it may have been because like it's also part of like your jobs.
like it's like a bill, yeah. It's like a bill you're pushing.
Absolutely.
I should probably
Watch this court.
Definitely be mine.
ফেসবুক আসতেছে
ফেসবুক আসছে না এটা না এটা তো পুরনো
if you guys want to see the live stream in live time.
না এটা তো পুরনো টেস্ট কর কোনটা এখন
Yes. Or no. Go to
আমার ল্যাপটপে এটা আমার ল্যাপটপে এটা
because then now we can just get to it. I added it. Here we are. Thank you.
What's your name?
Oh, correct. Hi.
Give me the Android.
No worries.
This is Andrew.
Ocean. Like Atlantic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Or Ocean Blonde. That's everyone says
Or
that
Frank
too.
Ocean.
Oh,
Yeah.
even better actually.
Or like the Atlantic, because I get to be Pacific about things.
You're an unpacific guy.
Yes, of course. So I'm the Vice President of Communications for the Queens County Young Democrats. So we're collaborating with for the Central Queens Independent Democratic Club, the Western Queens Independent Club, Ridgewood Democratic Club as well to like organize and make this happen.
ইউটিউবে যে ফেসবুক
Yeah, it's been yeah, it's around like 85 people that RSVP.
ওইখানেই না ঢুকে
এইখানে দেবে
And there's even more people that's joining us on the live stream as
আমারটার
well.
ইয়াতে
I would call the fire department.
What fire departments?
এইটাকে কানেক্ট করা যায়
This is such a intense local race.
না না
Yeah, it is.
Curious,
দরকার আমাদের ফেসবুক না যাবে
to reach you out with someone who you work with to
Yeah.
get into your process.
ফেসবুক পুরো প্রোগ্রাম দরকার পড়লে পরে আপলোড করে দেবো না দুটো করতে গিয়ে এক নষ্ট হয়ে যাবে
More candidate forms are coming soon.
না অন্যটা
Yeah, for the assembly and everything. So,
ফেসবুক কানেক্ট করা
What if you want to provide something for them?
if you want, you can just search up Queens Young Dems online. And we have that number. That email, all of the people have access to it. So that's like the perfect way to reach out to us.
Yeah, just so everyone can see it.
Sounds good. No worries. You know where it is, right? Second floor.
And like you said, the general email for you all. Is there like a comms email? Or like info at, something like that?
So there's that. We're young. So,
In the name?
in the name, and the economy's kind of rough for us.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to send an email just saying, you and I spoke briefly to get on the platform. Thank you so much.
Oh, shit. Like that.
I want something so important. Yeah,
It's nice to have.
That was our
Here we go.
We have
You can't put
coach me, so I have an open mind.
You gave the right answer. Don't ambush the man like that. I thought it was worth asking. You know? I got the long exclusive.
Write questions on the index card.
Can you release for the
As it's to do with coverage, I don't think I'm going to put any questions on it. That's not important.
more here? I'm just
They both made Johannesburg on the I don't know. That's a different experience.
They got suddenly quiet for no reason. We're not even starting yet. Well, we have the thing right now.
I was right over the microphone, only two.
I hope they go. Maybe third.
How do I remove
Your
that?
family focus family. Someone saying He's so ridiculous. I'm sure he
How about over here? Where do you want it? How about over here? No?
The candidates will be okay.
Right.
So,
Hang it back here. No?
I think it was all.
Where you gonna put it?
Oh, Sue's? I just want to like, look, you know, I think he's
Yes? Yes?
yeah, we have the tape over there. Can you bring that over? Great.
Hi, hello, hi. Good to
see you.
Hi, thank you.
I want to tell you,
Yes,
that
yes.
house you were looking at?
Yes, yes.
Man, the magnolia trees are just
Yeah, we're still shopping, still looking.
I'm sure you are.
Hi.
I have hopes and dreams going on, so you know.
Like it's so strange. When you go to the office, they have typewriters, and then they actually have a voice.
They're like, I don't know if I
Yes?
I see
Good?
something else.
That was for the other one.
Yeah.
Because there's all kinds of like little stuff. I love that, right?
Thinking about let's
Does anyone want to come? No? Okay, it's spicy.
raised it.
Hi.
Every once in a while, I
Yes,
get
we
a
put it
little.
on our Instagram. But I can also
Wait, you up?
I totally understand.
Where's Stevie? People just assume I like their breath. No, I just want to stay awake.
But search up this or Queen's Notes on YouTube. That's what we're posting. I'm like,
Yeah, I might be busy tonight.
আর একটা চেয়ার নিতে হবে
Actually, one of them. This is where you guys there, like,
জানে এগুলো
আমার ল্যাপটপটা
so he's gonna be under his violence. Your moral code is so great. I told you that.
A little, I think. I don't know. It did not show, but it's so right.
Is that when it starts? You can dip.
Huh? I don't think I have a bulk image. Fair enough, fair enough. Low-key, you're so right. Low-key, high-key.
I've done that type of
Yes, I have. It's still like, it was like for stone. It was like, now this is like, you know, it's a little different, I feel. Eva, everything okay?
Everything okay.
Yes. Everything perfect? Okay, sounds good. Can we?
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
হ্যাঁ ভাই ব্যাখ্যা দিন
I asked last time, she said, but she also said she wanted to help
I just did borough president to know, so
go over
aside from the
waiting.
so we can do the honor. I wasn't
At least that's what she knows she's doing at
the
that.
terminology
Which was a
so I
bar.
just did attorney
Maybe she's
like for now. I thought, but we can check in with them and see like what you prefer.
Now we're just determining a title as far as what to call somebody. No, you were like taking your no. Sorry. So we're little yeah. I know.
He probably wouldn't be here before Jesus called. Illegally.
তোমার ওরা কিন্তু 1 মিনিট 30 সেকেন্ড করে কথা বলে এর ভিতরে
এর মধ্যে যা নেওয়া যায় ওই মাছটা শর্ট দেখা যাচ্ছে না ওই যেটা আমাদের ওইটা দেখা যায় না কেন
My name is Ocean. I don't know if you saw it's just like saying that you're being
Really good.
একটা বক্স রাখা আছে
give like one presentation for maybe for us great. So that gives us time to get things started. Stuff to see like make sure.
You're gonna reach out to them Tuesdays?
I appreciate your building in the tree.
If you have any questions, let us know.
Okay. Sounds great. Packed house.
Yeah, exciting. Oh yes. In terms of like when we're moving into like okay, borough president, so the moment we have attorney Mark, the honors.
Honorable. No, definitely not. I am not
That's like a judge title. I don't want that. Can we just go public defense? Attorney makes it seem like I'm like a I appreciate your asking.
Baba, is there any microphone for anyone, or specifically which one for which? Anyone. It's off. Okay.
Hello.
Okay. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. You can control the volume there. Okay. Can you someone do a testing?
Test. 1, 2, 3. It's good. Working. Sounds like it.
I can hear it.
Yeah.
It's a little loud back here, so you may not have.
Well, it sounds. You're trying to check your volume and see if it's good and stuff. So you're
Like
good.
we're talking?
Yeah.
Okay, testing. More loud or less loud?
People on the other side.
Can the people on the other side hear me? Or not? Hello, everybody.
Hi. Guys, sorry about this. We're testing the microphones right now. We're gonna do a quick testing. So let us know if you can hear, if you're all the way in the back and stuff.
Count.
Oh, there we go. Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
In the back.
All the way in the back, can everybody hear me? Say yes or no? Okay.
Thank you.
Is this being live streamed?
It is being live streamed, so.
Turn off. Question. You don't need to turn off.
Don't need to turn off?
Not now. I think that will make that sound.
Okay.
You can do it like this one if you want to mute, but don't
Okay.
need to mute. People will forget to turn it off.
Okay. You guys can keep talking. Sorry.
You didn't provide those instructions clearly, so.
Yeah, there's seats over here as well.
হ্যাঁ ভাবি দেখতে পাবেন না একটু পরে পাবেন শুরু হইলে পাবেন 7টায়
Okay, so I got Michelle, Claire, Julie, I did this again. I know.
Yeah, what was the word? A robe? A robe? You said a robe?
A robe sounds correct to me.
I don't blame you. It's not.
I know it's not, but like it feels.
ভালো হবে
Is that we make it or goes back to you? Yeah.
year we passed a bunch of
ওটা একটা কাজ করতে পারি পরে রেকর্ডটা দিয়ে চলে আসতে পারি হ্যাঁ
Where's the sound coming from? There we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, I wasn't even ready. Thank Shall we want the more... Yeah. Actually, we can move it right now.
I just realized you were here. Yeah. I'm like the moderator now. Like I should be the moderator. And I depending on this selection. Hi. I see that you have an interest.
ঠিক আছে অন্যটা পাচ্ছি ওটা আছে ওই যে ওটা শব্দ উঠতেছে সেলফোন আশেপাশে থাকলে প্রবলেম সেলফোনের কারণে
মিউট করা
ওটা মনে মিউট করা না
এটাই মিউট করা Okay. Oh, perfect. I think we're watching this.
Are we testing these or are we good?
Those are on mute at the moment, but we should be fine. Yeah.
Oh, we're all got really quiet.
We'll give it a few minutes and then get started.
So continue talking, everyone.
This side.
There are seats here.
So we got no
There are seats here.
Yeah, but the judge, I was
Let's go.
No, you're good. Miriam. I like the hat. Oh my God.
for us as moderators, 3 areas that we should look at for do our things, discuss candidates, but also be aware of the also talking to the camera person. Yeah, because it's like if you're that's the camera that's like facing the moderators. So yeah. I get myself super power right now. All right, testing 1 2 1 2. Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bridgewood Democratic Club. My name is Ocean. I'm the. My name is Ocean Kareem. I'm the Vice President Communications for the Queens County Young Democrats, one of your moderators for tonight. And I want to thank everyone for taking their time out of this Sunday to join us both in person or by the live stream that we have going on for tonight's New York 7th Congressional District Candidate Forum. I would like to extend our sincerest of thanks to our lovely candidates joining us this evening. In last name alphabetical order, they are Civil Defense Attorney Vichal Kumar, Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, New York State Assembly Member Claire Valdez, and New York City Council Member Julie Wan. We're so grateful for their commitment to public service and look forward to a wonderful discussion of the issues that matter most to the residents of New York's 7th Congressional District, stretching from Ridgewood to Long Island City from Queens, as well as Bushwick to Williamsburg and Brooklyn.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Heather Beers-Dimitriadis, and I am a member of the Steering Committee for Central Queens Independent Democrats. And I will be another moderator for you tonight. Tonight's conversation will explore the challenges facing this corner of the United States and how they intersect with the broader nationwide issues. We recognize that there will be differences in opinions and perspectives to address these issues expressed in this forum tonight. Just as we expect civility and decorum from the candidates, we also ask that all of you respect each candidate and each other and help model respectful conversation important for a healthy democracy, avoiding interruption and disruption. We're all here to listen and learn. So please help keep tonight a productive and informative event. Thank you all so much for being here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ali Suazo, and I am the final moderator for tonight. I am the Vice President of Marketing of Latino Democrats of NYC. Just to move on, New York 7 is one of the most dynamic and diverse congressional districts in the country. New York 7 spans parts of both Queens and Brooklyn, bringing together neighborhoods like Long Island City, Sunnyside, Ridgewood, Williamsburg, Bushwick, and Greenpoint. It is home to nearly 800,000 residents, and it is defined by its incredible diversity, racially, culturally, and economically. The district includes large immigrant communities alongside long-established families. It is a district shaped by contrast. It sits at the forefront of rapid development and gentrification, while also facing real challenges around affordability, public housing, and economic inequality. Most residents are renters, and issues like the cost of living, access to healthcare, immigration, transit reliability, and public safety are central to daily life. New York 7 is strongly democratic, but deeply engaged, where primaries often reflect real debates about the future of the district and the country. Tonight's conversation is about how each candidate plans to represent a district that is as complex and is as vibrant. Looking forward to a great forum. Thank you so much.
As a reminder, there will be more conversations and forums like this between now and the June primary. But to get things started, I'd like to share some notes with you all about the format of tonight's conversation, as well as some ground rules that will be laid out. So generally, each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to each of the questions that we ask them. If named in another candidate's answer, the candidate that was named will have a 30-second rebuttal, and that'll be only one for each question in that sense. Candidates are not allowed to use props or pull up pictures or buttons or whatever, and the candidates do not know what the questions are themselves. They're hearing from real audience members in real time as well. There will be opening and closing statements as well, which the candidates will have 2 minutes of speaking time, and there will be a rapid fire to help ease us into conversation. The first half of rapid fire is going to be more fun, more entertaining, but the second half will be more serious, essentially. We will have a timekeeper. Our lovely timekeeper Sam is going to be helping us out with that. And for example, if there was a 60-second time stamp, a 30-second one, 15 seconds remaining, and then if you're ending, then you should wrap it up. There's no bell that buzzes if you go 91 seconds. But to ensure that everyone has a chance to speak, and so that we can ask as many questions as possible, we may have to intervene, essentially. with that said, we'll go ahead with our candidates' opening statements. We'll start off with public attorney. Oh,
Public defender.
public defender. Public defender, Victor Kumar. You can go ahead and unmute the mic, and you should be good to go.
We good?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, afternoon. Thank you to the Ridgewood Democratic Club, the Queens County Young Dems, the West Queens Independent Club, and all of y'all for being here, for putting this together. I'm Vishal Kumar. It's like Mitchell with a V. Now you understand why we go by Kumar for the campaign. I'm a public defender and a son of working class immigrants. I grew up in a household that was full of family, full of love, so much so that I slept on the floor growing up. My parents, I love them dearly, but not the best business people, and they ran a struggling convenience store our entire lives, so much so that we oftentimes didn't have access to heat, hot water, electricity, let alone health insurance. But the one thing that taught me was that we have a responsibility of taking care of each other and taking care of our community. That's what led me to become a public defender. And for over 20 years, starting while I went to law school at night, I've been with New Yorkers on the hardest days of their lives. When ICE has tried to tear families apart, when landlords have tried to evict them, when employers have denied them their livelihood, and even when they couldn't even get access to food stamps. But it wasn't just about delivering services for today, it was about creating institutions and systems that delivered in all the ways that government had failed. And what we don't need right now in Washington, D.C. is another politician with talking points. We need people that have done the work, that have delivered every day for New Yorkers, and that have ensured their stability, because government isn't doing that right now. Let's face it, I'm not the candidate with the most money. I'm not the candidate with the best, most powerful friends. But I am the candidate that has done the work. And for 20 years, I have showed up when New Yorkers have had it the hardest, and that's what you'll be sending to Congress. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Borough President Antonio Reynoso.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back here in Ridgewood, where I started my political career being a Ridgewood organizer for Councilwoman Diana Reyna. So this building means a lot to me, and I'm deeply grateful for all the work that everyone here is doing. My name is Antonio Reynoso, and I'm so happy to be representing what I want to call a working class family and a working class struggle that we all know too well. As you know my story, I came from Dominican immigrant parents that came here from the Dominican Republic with very little in their pockets. So welfare, food stamps, Section 8. We're gonna start talking about who had the hardest upbringing in this table here. But what I want to talk about is the success that came from government investing in me. Government showed up for families in those times. And because of it, it made it so that in one generation, Dominican mother that didn't speak the language and had a 5th grade education has her son running for Congress. That only happens here in this country. And I want that promise to continue. I want that promise to grow. And I feel like we've lost it. Every single headache that we see right now that we're struggling with primarily comes from the federal government. It's the Republicans and Trump that are continuously, every single page you turn in the daily news of the New York Times, it's another crisis, not one that is a natural disaster, but one that the Republicans and Trump are choosing. So I want to go there because I am an activist. I do that fight. But I also make things happen. I get the work done. In my entire career, I've passed meaningful pieces of legislation that has affected meaningful change in people's lives. I'm the one candidate here that I not only fights the good fight, but make sure that outcome-driven work happens. And that's what we need at the federal government. It's somebody that can go in there on day one and actually affect change in people's lives. And that's the type of candidate that I would be. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited for this debate.
Thank you so much, Borough President. Next will be Assemblymember Claire Valdez.
Hi everyone, my name is Claire Valdez. I am the Assemblymember representing the 37th District, Long Island City, Sunnyside, Woodside, Maspeth, and Ridgewood. I live a few blocks away, so it's great to see some neighbors here today. I did not start my political journey running for office. I started it by being a member of my union at Columbia University, representing 500 of my coworkers, call center workers, cashiers in dining halls, administrative assistants, mostly women of color who absolutely make that university run, but who so often are forgot about or ignored by management. I got to stand shoulder to shoulder with them during grievances and disciplinary meetings against bad bosses, and we got to fight for more. And what my union taught me is that everyday working people can move mountains when we organize together. We went toe-to-toe with a $14 billion institution, and we won better wages, better working conditions, and that fight continues. It's the fight that absolutely propelled me to run for state assembly, and it's the fight that I want to take to Washington, D.C. Right now, unions have never been more popular in the United States, but it is incredibly hard to join a union. And at a moment when a fascist administration is trying to wrest away our rights, is trying to destroy our immigrant communities, rip families apart, denying climate change, and undermining the labor movement, we need organizers in Congress who are ready to fight back and organize not just within the legislature and in the halls of power, but on the outside as well. That's my commitment. We're running to win Medicare for all, to win unions for all, housing for all, to end the forever wars and the genocide in Gaza, and to make sure that the billions of dollars that we spend every single day immiserating the working class people of the world come back to our communities, building our hospitals, our education systems, our public transit, because we deserve a life of dignity and beauty right here in New York 7, and we can win it when we organize together. Thanks so much for being here.
And last but certainly not least, Councilmember Julie Wan.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's so good to see you. My name is Julie Wan, and I'm currently a council member in Western Queens. And I probably would not be standing here with you today if it weren't for COVID-19. I'm an immigrant. I came to this country in 1998, and I worked in a tech company for 10 years as a consultant until COVID hit. And that's when I saw a block away from Queensbridge Houses, the largest public housing in the whole entire country where I live very close to, and I saw students who were sitting outside using Link NYC, those advertisement beacons, because I was their only source of internet to go to school. And that really irked me. I grew up on public school free lunch, public benefits, and to see that the government was saying schools are going to shut down and you're going to go to school online, you're going to go get your government benefits online, you're going to go to work online, and you're going to get your telehealth online. Yet our government was not doing anything to make sure that the very most vulnerable people had access to internet. In 2026, internet should be treated like a utility, just like heat, hot water, and electricity, where you should not be able to rent an apartment unless you're making sure that it is provided. So I ended up running for office on that cause of making sure every public housing resident got internet. And within 6 months of being elected, I ran in a very crowded field with 21 people. And even though everyone said it's impossible, she has no support, nobody knows who she is, she doesn't come from politics, she doesn't have any friends in politics, yet we won. Because everyone believed in the same mission that we were on, which was to make sure that every person had internet in this country, especially if they're living 200% below the poverty line. Within 6 months of being elected, every single public housing resident in my district got free internet and cable TV, and within the last 3 years, we were able to roll out that same exact blueprint citywide to make sure that no public housing resident would go on without internet. Now fast forward, within the last 4 years as an elected official, we've passed and rezoned over 36,000 units of housing, built and rezoned, and we've also made sure that we opened the highest amount of migrant shelters, because as an immigrant, I would never turn anybody away. We're going to continue on that journey. We have a rare opportunity to run for an open seat, and I believe that in this district, and especially in a democracy like now, we've seen some incredible collaboration amongst candidates in the Democratic primary for the mayoral, and I believe that we have amazing candidates who are standing here before you today. And I believe we can all run a very positive campaign together with the same mission of making sure that there's nobody in this country that from the moment you're born until the day that you die, that you know that the whole country cares for you, and that's what we're going to discuss. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And apologies for the technical difficulties we have with the microphone. Still trying to figure that out. Might be the phone, I'm not exactly sure. But we live and we learn. We'll move over to the rapid fire questions. Since these are like more fun, more chill and everything, we'll just have like the microphone just be passed along so that everyone can answer those and stuff. And yeah, we'll get things started. In a few words, what is the best restaurant in the district and what do you order?
I thought this was fun.
I can go first. Sure. For me, it's Castro's. It's because they had the biggest, most plentiful burritos that helped me get through law school when you couldn't really afford lots of meats.
I'm I'm gonna go with a nostalgic pick. Is a place called Sazon Perez. It's a small little Dominican restaurant that has been there for like 40 years, and it's a place that I often go on Sundays when I don't want to cook for my kids. So.
I'm gonna go breakfast at Masa Madre in Sunnyside until the Queens bus redesign. The Q39 dropped me off right there, and thank God I no longer have to get dropped off in front of it. Some of the best conchas, I think, in the city.
I'm gonna go with Jubilee Market. It's actually a hidden secret. Please don't put it on TikTok. But if you want omakase level sashimi and sushi, but on a budget like me, go to their sushi section on the first floor, like in the ground floor, and it's delicious and cheap. But don't tell anybody.
Antonia, we'll have you start off this question. What's a song that's always on your playlist?
Oh my goodness. A lot of people are not going to relate with me here. It's a merengue típico song that is called Los Camiones, and it's just a song that reminds me of like the countryside in the Dominican Republic, which is like my safe space. So that's a song. It's called Los Camiones, merengue típico.
Kind of depends on the mood we're going for, but I'm listening to a lot of Selena, and Bidi Bidi Bum Bum is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
We're really bad at rapid fire because everyone's giving 2-sentence answers, but my right now on repeat would be Golden by K-pop Demon Hunters. I just got to see them live in a private performance at a Korean gala, and I could not be more proud.
Wow.
Oh, pressure. We the People by Tribe Called Quest was on their most recent album that dropped during the first Trump administration, and that album is probably what carried me through every single day.
Thank you so much for your answers. Next question would be for Assemblymember Valdez.
To start off.
Yes. What's your favorite MTA train bus line?
Okay. I have to give it to the M. It is my train line. I do Fresh Ponds. You always get a seat going into the city, and you get to see an incredible view.
Anyone?
Yeah.
Sorry, could you repeat the question? Somebody was distracting me about my water bottle.
Favorites MTA bus or train line?
I would have to say it's the 7, because it is the lifeline for Queens, and it is what gets me to City Hall every single day.
My favorite line is the G train, not on the weekends though. The G train is, I think, one of the best trains. It's the only Queens to Brooklyn line, and this is the perfect district to represent the G line. So there you go.
It's got to be the G, right? The G. I didn't even know when I first was living in Brooklyn and first moved back to Brooklyn that the G actually existed. It was before we had the stopwatch. And I always kept wondering why the train was so short and compared to other trains. Still the G train.
Sweet. Last rapid fire question before we move on to like the main questions. New York 7 is one of the most diverse districts in New York State. Can you greet New Yorkers in a language other than English? Maybe not like that.
Satsuriagal, namaste.
Buenas tardes.
Hola, buenas.
안녕하세요. 다시 달래.
Anyone? Yeah.
Thank you all so much. That was a lot of fun. We got to learn a little bit more about you. Okay, we're going to now go into some more deeper questions. Again, a reminder that you will have 90 seconds to answer these questions. First question was submitted by Anthony Barsamian on Sunnyside Yards, and this time we'll start with Julie Wan. The Sunnyside Yard Master Plan proposes decking over 184-acre Queens rail yard to create a new mixed-use neighborhood featuring over 12,000 affordable housing units, union jobs, parks, and green spaces and schools. With this proposal also comes concerns of the over $21 billion price tag, potential gentrification, and displacement. What is your position on the plan and why?
I just want to make it clear, because the news has not been clear, the $21 billion price tag, one, is only a guesstimate. It's not an actual quantified number by the city of New York, but that is only for the decking of the yard itself. It does not include any of the other amenities that you've listed, including housing. I would say that I am yes, with conditions, but again, this plan is not funded because it would have to be funded by Congress. The city has been very clear that there will be no city funding for this project without the federal funding that has to come first. So therefore, it's kind of a unclear project, and we have to make sure that there's public input. One of the biggest outcries of anger that we have received is that it was originally rejected by Congresswoman AOC, Senator Gianaris, and my predecessor, Jimmy Van Bramer, as a council member, and they rejected it for all of the concerns that you had named. So in order for us to have a successful project, one, we would need to get federal funding, and it would have to be allocated or appropriated by Congress, which currently does not exist in any congressional bill. Two, we would also have to make sure that there's proper community input, and there has to be clarity on what legal framework we're going to use. Are we using GPP with the state of New York? Or are we using ULURP with the city of New York? And thirdly, I think we have to do it in phases if we were to move forward. I think the best thing that we have to do, which the study shows, is that we start with the station and make sure that the station is what comes online, because this is a project that's estimated to take 50 to 100 years with a lot of funding, billions of dollars.
Julie, thank you so much. If we could then go down the line with Claire, followed by Antonio, then followed by Mitchell.
Yeah, absolutely. I share a lot of the concerns that have been expressed by our constituents about potential displacement and gentrification, but we have to admit we're in a housing crisis right now. My rent just went up. I know many people in this room are renters and are afraid of being priced out of our neighborhoods. And I'm glad to see that the scale of this crisis is being met with real ambition and vision. Sunnyside Yard presents an opportunity, as was already listed, for thousands of union jobs, good-paying union jobs, parkland, transit updates, deeply affordable housing. I agree that we need to have as much input from our neighbors as possible on how this process goes, in what we want to see from this potential new neighborhood, but there's immense promise there. And I think I'm especially excited by the prospect that this new neighborhood could also represent an opportunity for new public land, for community land trusts, or social housing, for deep investment in permanently affordable housing for our neighbors to live in for the long term. So it's very ambitious. I think it will not move forward without massive federal investment, but I'm enthusiastic about the prospect of what this could represent for Queens.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so right now we are in a housing crisis, and what people in this country are upset about is that the Democrats especially don't know how to meet moments. They see crisis level situations and don't have crisis level reactions. That is a crisis level reaction in being able to build out the thousands of units of housing in Sunnyside Yard. So I support it. But what I want to be careful with is that the person at the top is Donald Trump. And Donald Trump wakes up one day and wants to remove billions of dollars from a project. He's already done it. We've seen environmental justice projects or environmental projects. We've seen transportation projects lose funding. Every single time Donald Trump wakes up on the wrong side of the bed, he wants to pull funding from New York. And this could happen for this project as well. So what I want is to do everything we can to secure the funding, have it at the state, have it at the city. Once it's ours, we can have all these discussions that are deeply important, that are with community input, exactly what we want to see, how much park space, how much units of housing, how much affordability. We can have those conversations, but let's do everything we can to lock in the billions of dollars, bring it to the state, make sure it's in our coffers, and it's something that Donald Trump can't pull back. But what people are looking for Democrats to do, what people are looking for government to do, is just stop the nonsensical conversations that don't accomplish anything and continue to have us suffering. While we're talking about policy, people are living in homeless shelters, people are living in the street, and I think it's about time we just get to work on it. So I support Sunnyside Yard, and I will do everything in my power to get as much money into the state and the city to make that a reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Mitchell?
What I think about is the tenant that I represented in Harlem. And that tenant had lived in this rent-controlled, rent-stabilized housing for 30 years. And one day, their landlord, a developer, came to them and offered them a check of $50,000 to move. And they were incredibly excited. They had never seen $50,000 all at once. And they're like, Mitchell, I got this incredible offer, and I'm going to take it because I've never seen this much money all at once. I'll just find another apartment in New York. My heart stopped, right? Because I knew something that they didn't know. that they weren't just going to find another apartment in New York, that what they had was a commodity that was so great in this city where housing is totally unaffordable, that $50,000 didn't even begin to think about what that actually cost. So yes to Sunnyside, yes we need more affordable housing, but let's be concerned about the displacement that this caused, because just whispers of Sunnyside is already seeing the developers start circling and already start thinking about displacing the residents that live in these communities, and this is what happens time and again. Yes to Sunnyside because we need affordable housing, yes because it'll bring union labor to the district. Let's make sure the AMI also works for the residents that actually live in that community, not based upon a number that isn't reflective of the actual people that are there today.
Thank you so much for everybody's answers. Now we're going to move on to the next question. This is submitted by Christopher Magalona on climate change and infrastructure. Communities nationwide, especially in New York City, are facing growing risks from climate change, including stronger storms, rising temperatures, as we can see, and more frequent flooding. In areas like North Brooklyn, where shallow groundwater, dense industrial development, and aging drainage systems strain the local infrastructure, these challenges become even more urgent. Concerns are mounting about climate change and the investments needed to protect vulnerable neighborhoods. What is your approach to addressing climate change and strengthening local resilience/infrastructure? We can start with Vichal.
Climate change isn't a reality that we're just seeing for the first time now. We've been seeing it for years. We've been seeing it in NYCHA housing for decades. There are tenants that live in NYCHA that have spent years waiting for basic needs like mold remediation. Mold remediation caused by the environment that they've asked time and again to have remedied. But it doesn't happen, right? It doesn't happen for them. Their children have asthma and they have to suffer from it. And that is a microcosm of thinking about the environmental impact that we are currently facing in this district as well as in this country. We need bold, inventive programs that will make sure that we support the infrastructure necessary to protect our communities. And this isn't just about physical infrastructure in ensuring that we can have access to clean waterways, but this is also about infrastructure that shores up the housing that we have right now so that families can live in peace and not be concerned that their children are going to get sicker every single day because our government is failing to meet their needs. NYCHA has the capital funding project. NYCHA has the resources in order to deliver for people, but government has not made that happen. And if we're going to talk about environmental impact, let's talk about the people suffering right now.
Thank you so much. Now, Antonio.
So, again, want to talk about, first, I'm a son of the South Side. So I was born and raised in North Brooklyn. And if you're born in North Brooklyn, you are an environmental justice advocate right out as soon as you pop out. I won't say what we pop out of. And we have high asthma rates, 3 times the amount of entrance into Woodhull Hospital because of asthma. We have the only asthma trauma center in all of New York City is in Woodhull Hospital. And the thing is, fighting is important, and we need to show up, we need to protest, we need to make sure people know that this is something that is unacceptable. But it's about getting results as well. I passed 2 pieces of legislation related to truck traffic. The first one is we reduced the amount of capacity in which trucks can move through our North Brooklyn area by 50%. We went from 40,000 tons of capacity for trash to 20,000 tons of capacity for trash, pretty much eliminating 50% of the truck traffic in North Brooklyn. That's a legislation that I actually passed. I went to do something and I got it done. Then we have commercial waste zones. We completely changed the way we handle private trash in the entire city because of legislation that we were able to pass. And we are reducing truck mileage by 1 million miles citywide every single year because of the work that we're talking about. So it's another example of getting to the place, fighting, but actually getting things done. Again, you will see time and time again in this debate that I am the elected official that said something and actually did something about it, and I want to be able to continue to do that in Congress. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Claire?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we have to acknowledge that we didn't come to this place by accident. That climate change is not some force of nature that has no explanation. It's corporate greed. It's the corporations that have made billions and billions, trillions of dollars off of extracting oil and natural gas and building pipelines and promulgating a belief that what we need is more gas lines. Even now, Hochul has greenlit the Nessie pipeline. She's allowing National Grid to continue expanding their natural gas infrastructure. And what we need is an answer to that. We need public renewable energy. Last year in the New York State budget, we allocated $200 million for the New York Power Authority to build more public renewable energy. We have another line item in the budget this year for $200 million. We're hoping to pass that, but we need so much more to meet the scale of the crisis. Right now, the governor is attacking the CLCPA, our landmark climate laws here in New York State. We are standing strongly against that so that we can have ambitious mandates and we actually work to meet them. And in doing that, we're demanding even more investment in a public power infrastructure. To make this transition, we have to wrest power away from the corporate monopolies that have made this climate change the terrible reality we live in now. And we have to invest in solar and wind and geothermal, and we can do that here in New York 7.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, Julie. It's no accident that we're currently sitting, especially in New York 7, from Gowanus to all of our public parks and public land, especially along the waterfront. That is, all of it is either a landfill, a Superfund site, a brownfield, or it has been it's a toxic plume, because this is where all the industrial companies used to be. And we have to make sure that we have adequate funding from the feds, especially to make sure that there's remediation for the Superfund sites, especially Newtown Creek. We know that Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez has been a huge champion of that, and we have to keep on fighting for it. And as we've heard from my colleague, we have seen cuts not just from the federal level from Donald Trump, but where we are reneging on all of our promises on an international level to the national level on all of our renewables funding. We've also seen it on a state level from Governor Hochul and the legislature. We have to fight back, because we were supposed to transition from Astoria NRG as well as Ravenswood Power Plant to it was called Rise Line of Power, where we were going into 100% renewable, and we lost all that funding. We've also lost all the funding for Hydro-Quebec to have hydropower from Canada as well. So now we're back to square one, where when I grew up, it was called Asthma Alley in Astoria and Ravenswood in Long Island City, where I still have a pump and it's nerdy as hell, but it's okay because that's the only way I could breathe. And we have to make sure, because when I look at my children, I fear for them. Like, will they also grow up having asthma because the air quality is so low? And these were all intentional racist decisions where they knew that if you put it in the outer boroughs, that they were protecting the wealthy who were living in Manhattan. And these were all intentional decisions. We have to make sure that in Congress we're fighting for all the funding, and that we make sure that we're looking for the future of our children growing up in this country.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll now go over to our third question. This is submitted by Philip Bersamian on foreign policy. With the ongoing war in Iran, war in Ukraine, concerns of terrorism and national security, the U.S. military capture of Nicolas Maduro, and all that is happening in Israel and Palestine, what core principles do you believe should guide U.S. foreign policy? And how would you apply those principles when evaluating military action, diplomacy, foreign aid, and other international partnerships? We'll go ahead and start things off with Carlos.
These are some of the great moral questions of our time. Right now, we spend close to $1 trillion on a military budget that is used to bomb Iran, that has written blank checks to Israel and the genocide in Gaza, and now the bombardment of Lebanon. Our fascist administration is saber-rattling around Cuba, has invaded Venezuela. And what we have to be advancing in this moment is a foreign policy of peace, of global solidarity and cooperation. We have to be taking the money, the billions of dollars that we spend every year, bombing refugees, displacing Palestinians, spend it right here at home. We have to spend that money investing in our hospitals, our public transit system, our education systems. Those investments can make our lives beautiful and dignified here in New York City and in New York 7, rather than immiserating the working class around the world. So I believe in diplomacy, in fighting to make sure that the United States is using its power diplomatically to advance peace and cooperation, and that solidarity is how we find security and safety, not just here, but around the world.
Thank you. We'll now go over to Julie Wong.
I am a child of war. I grew up after World War II and after the Korean Civil War, as well as the Japanese occupation of South Korea, where I grew up seeing my grandfather taking him to the doctors consistently every single week and putting ointment on his back because he was a child, a toddler in Hiroshima when the atomic bomb was dropped. And my great-grandmother died instantly upon nuclear exposure. So we have to make sure that we understand that peace doesn't come by ourselves as a country. It's going to take an international cooperation towards peace, as we've seen after World War II, where every single major nation came together and said, let's not kill each other anymore. And we have completely walked away with that with Donald Trump, where he has broken and evaporated and pulled out of every meaningful international agreement, whether it's the WHO, Paris Climate Agreement, UNESCO, UN Human Rights Council, NATO commitments, USAID. We can go on, and we have to go back. That we have to have cooperation, and we have to stop funding wars. 35% of our paychecks are going to fund wars that we did not agree to. Congress has to go back and say we are the ones who legally decide if we want to enter a war, and that has completely gone out the window with Donald Trump. We have to unite as a Congress, nonpartisan, bipartisan, say no more, and we're not going to fund wars, whether it's Ukraine, except for Ukraine, but for Lebanon, Iran, Lebanon, Iran, Israel, Palestine, all of it, it needs to stop because it is not what it was back then. None of this is happening in a black box. We're seeing it on a daily basis, especially today, as soon as we woke up, of what's going on in Lebanon. We have to stop killing innocent civilians.
Thank you so much. Next, Vijay Kumar.
We'll try only again. $1.5 trillion is the number that this administration requested for their new defense budget, which would be a 67% increase, the largest we've seen since World War II. Last I checked, we're not at World War II right now. That is money that should be routed to the people in this country that need housing, that need healthcare, that need a basic safety net to demonstrate that government works for them. Our foreign policy should reflect the values that we hold dearest, which are about diplomacy, which are about dignity, which is about humanity. Not starting more wars, not getting involved where we shouldn't be, not supporting genocides across the world, but rather focusing on aid, on support, on lifting up communities across the world. That is our moral responsibility, but it's also our legal responsibility. So in case you need an excuse, the morality hits too hard, take the legal one, but either way there isn't really a choice here. That is where our foreign policy should be rooted, and that is what I'll make sure that I'll be fighting for every single day.
Thank you. Last but not least, Antonio Reynoso.
After World War II, the disastrous World War II, the whole world came together to discuss the means by which we would never enter into these terrible wars. NATO and other initiatives that were put forth, treaties that we signed, all to move us towards diplomacy versus actual war, boots on the ground and humans dying. It seems that Donald Trump has moved us away from that. It doesn't seem like Donald Trump has moved us away from that, and the complicit Republicans that allow him to do that. And there's some complicit Democrats as well. I want to be very clear that this is not a Republican Trump problem. This is an establishment political problem. We need to go back to diplomacy. We need to go back to ensuring that every single lever that we can pull outside of war is always pulled. The resources that we talk about when we talk about war are problematic because those are resources that can come to our country or state within the United States of America. But what's more than that is our standing in this world. Every single time the United States does an intervention, they fail. And they sow tension and negativity towards our country when they do that. Venezuela is not about the self-determination and the freedom of the Venezuelan people. In Iran, the exact same thing. Both regimes are still in place in both of those countries, and we've wasted billions of dollars and military service members to do it. So I want to go back to the diplomacy first era that happened after World War II is something that I would help continue to establish here in Congress.
Thank you all so much for your answers. The next question is going to go to you, Antonio, so keep the mic. This question was submitted by members of the Latino Democrats of New York City, and this question is addressing taxation and social services. In recent years, some national proposals focused on targeted tax exemptions, such as eliminating taxes on certain income brackets, exempting tips, or expanding zero tax thresholds. Some argue these measures offer relief to working families, while others worry it could erode the federal revenue and undermine long-term investments in social programs. Although New York's current debate centers primarily on taxing high-income earners, similar exemption-based ideas could emerge at the federal level. How would you evaluate and respond to these types of proposals?
Tax the rich. I wish I could just say that, but I got a lot of time, so I'm going to keep going. Look, I want to get this number right, and I move it around because I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like 60, 70, or 80 billion dollars is the amount of money that Amazon made last year. The amount of money, while a significant amount of workers that are subcontracted for Amazon are on welfare, food stamps, and Section 8. For all intents and purposes, the federal government is subsidizing the workforce of a billion profit dollar corporation. That is the problem that we have in this country. It's a class warfare, and we need to do something about it. And the way we do it is taxing the rich. We don't put more of an onus, we don't put more of a burden on the middle class and the poor. We tax the rich that have benefited greatly from the systems that are currently existing in this country. And I'll leave you with that over the last 5 years, we've seen the greatest wealth transfer in the history of this country, while the 80% of us are all suffering and can't figure out a way on how we're going to pay for the next meal or pay for rent. At some point, we got to stand together and not have them do what they want to do, which is have people with little fight against people with less. Yes, less taxes for the middle class, less taxes against the working poor, and we tax the rich. And it should be very straightforward, and it should be a principled position that is held by every Democrat in this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Claire?
Tax the rich as well. We all agree, It is true that now in the United States we have a billionaire class that has gotten away without paying their fair share for decades. And we're often told that we can't encroach upon their profits because they're job creators. And what we've seen over and over again is actually Microsoft, Google, Twitter, I'm going to call Twitter, and other enormous corporations are laying off their workers in mass and replacing them with AI. These are not job creators. These are oligarchs. They are billionaires. They are robber barons who have stolen the wealth and the wealth that we have created, that through our labor we have made for them. And they're not giving it back. That's what taxes are for. They're about redistribution of the wealth that our labor has created to make sure that we can all have a good life. And so we have to tax the wealthiest among us. We're trying to advance legislation at the state level, pied-à-terre tax, let's go. But there's much more to be done. I would much rather see us tax the most profitable corporations and wealthiest Americans, and make sure that there are no places for them to hide and squirrel away their wealth, and use that money to invest to make sure their social services are excellent, their health care is available to everyone, that housing is abundant and beautiful, and that is, I think, an economic justice that all of us deserve.
Thank you, Julie.
Yes, we all agree, tax the rich. Right now, 80% or 85% of our stock market is owned by the 5% of the population of the United States of America. And even though we all pay taxes in this room, people like Mark Zuckerberg paid $0, close to it. That's pretty horrific. So we have an extremely broken system right now, and because the federal government is not taking action to make sure that the wealthy are paying their fair share, we're seeing a piecemeal approach state by state like California and the state of New York, where we're taking approaches to tax the wealthy on our own, and that's never going to work. We have to have a holistic approach as a country to really make sure that not just individuals, but also corporations are paying their fair share, because that is truly how we get our social services and our government working, because we're constantly crying poverty, right? Saying that we're in a budget deficit on every level of government. That is because we're not collecting proper taxes. So we have to make sure that we are taxing the rich and taxing the wealthy, but not broad strokes. Because, for example, when it hit the news and I was notified as a city council member that we were going to do broad stroke property taxes, that was really going to hurt our black and brown homeowners who are living on fixed income, especially our seniors, and those who may have inherited that apartment or house or condo, yet they were living on $65,000 to $75,000 a year. We have to go in with precision and targeting to make sure that we are looking at things like the periodicity tax for vacancy taxes so that we're really being conscientious to not hurt the working class and the middle class of this country.
Thank you, Julian. Mitchell, if you could wrap us up, please.
Sure. You good? Okay. About $500 is how much somebody gets for food stamps. Do you know what $500 covers? Have y'all been to the grocery store recently? $500 is not getting us very far. So yes, we can talk about taxation, but let's also not neglect the fact that our safety net doesn't work. It's been broken, and I'll tell you it's been broken for at least 20 years, because that's how long I've been dealing with it. So what we need to be thinking about are all the ways that we can drive resources to build a real meaningful social safety net for the working communities that deserve it. We can talk about tax the rich, absolutely, tax the rich, but let's not just settle with individuals. The corporate tax rate that changed in 2017 has cost us $1 trillion in revenue in just less than a decade. $1 trillion, equivalent to the defense budget, is how much money we could have put into shoring up that social safety net. So let's start there. Let's start having the fight with corporations to start paying their fair share. Not the 0% that they're at, not the 6%, numbers that actually reflect the numbers that any other salaried W-2 working class member has to pay. And once we start with that, we can start thinking about what a social safety net really means to the people who need it the most.
Thank you so much, everyone. At this time, we'll now go into our 10-minute break so that we can give the candidates a bit of a chance to pop it out, take a break and everything. So, while that happens, I would like to also call over Janet, the president of the Ridgewood Democratic Club, to come over and speak a few words.
Hi, thank you everybody so much for coming today. Before I get into my spiel, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that we recently lost a leader at the Ridgewood Democratic Club. We lost Kathy Nolan about a month and a half ago. And so if we could just take a moment. Kathy was the assemblywoman for this district for 37 years, and many of the people in the club knew her very well and were friends with her, or she was their mentor. So that was a sad thing for us. Okay. Thank you again. Thank you for coming today. Thank you to the candidates, and I especially want to thank our co-hosts because they really came in like rock stars and put this whole thing together. I basically invited all the campaigns to come, and then they did everything else. So thank you so much for especially Ocean. So the Ridgewood Democratic Club, we do own our building, and so if you're able to donate to help us keep these kinds of programs free, we do think it's very important that everybody be able to come to these events regardless of their ability to pay. But the building, we found another leak yesterday, so we need more. We could use some support so that we can continue to host these events. And I think that's everything. The bathroom's on the second floor. Please let the candidates go first.
Thank you so much, Janet. While we all are on our break as well, I also did want to take a moment to have our sponsoring organizations as well as the people that help to make this possible come over and also talk a little bit more about them as well. I'd like to invite Jamie Battle, who is our president of the Latino Dems of New York City, to speak here.
Hi everyone. I'll be very short. My name is Jamie. I'm the president of Latino Dems. My beautiful board members are also here today, and a lot of our members I see. I just want to thank you all for being here and give a quick pitch. We started Latino Dems because we felt our community hasn't been organized and that we've been ignored for years, if not decades. And we see in New York City where we have really great hyper-local investments in Latino communities, but it's only within certain neighborhoods. So we really want to bring our power and being able to be a force, whether it's city council, it's state elections, and congressional. And now is the moment where we can all be unified and come together to do that. So if you're interested in joining, please feel free to reach out to one of my fellow board members. If y'all could raise your hands, that'd be great. We have a beautiful WhatsApp, and we have a lot of great programming coming to play. So yeah, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would also like to give a bit of a shameless plug to the Queens County Young Democrats as well. I'm the current vice president for it as well. And a lot of us are members as well in the room. Queens County Young Democrats is, as the name says, representing all the young people within the Queens County, so people ages 16 to 39 or so. We bring so many young people together to talk more about civic engagement, being more involved in politics overall, getting to know what the current events are, and how can they be more involved with the community around them and stuff. So if you're very interested, we do have a membership fee of joining in. It's $3 a month or so, but you get access to amazing benefits overall, including to a lot of socials, a lot of mixers, a lot of networking, and much more. If you just want to be involved and find a community, please join us. We'd love to have you aboard. We have our websites, our YouTube and stuff, and our Instagram to learn more as well. And we have our general meetings every month. So join us. We also do have about 5 minutes or so left in the break, so please take your time, mingle. There's water that's available for everyone as well, the water bottles. If you have not gotten a water bottle, please do so. They are for everyone. And yeah, thank you. I see. That's what my dad is looking into at the moment. Possibly. Yeah. I don't know how that works. My dad knows. He actually told me that immediately as soon as he said it. But thank you.
Well, as in locally or? Basically it was Jamie Braddock, who's the president, her, and a couple of other members. We started in October last year.
Because I'm here, I'm like, I've never heard of this.
Yeah, we were pretty new club, so we just started.
I still want to shout out script. We're still within the break. So within the break. We started all stuffing songs. And all songs with in-house questions. And then all of us in the shoes. We have one person I had to get it 25.
Are you in the Gabber side?
Good job, really proud of you.
Yeah, are you in the... Because I also have a friend that's in another... What's up, Travis? What is...
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, because I know, like, someone got...
You're killing it, Ocean. You got this.
I'm so sorry.
Oh yes, one of my
Oh, no, yes. Okay, yeah. So there's a ton of extra seats. Maybe when you start, just they can come fill in the seats.
হ্যাঁ না না লাইভ করতে দেবে
Sorry about the disjointed.
Hi everyone, we are still in our break, but in the meantime we're still in a break. I also did want to give a few minutes or so for Squid to give a little spiel about who they are, so take it away, Heather.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. If you happen to live in Central Queens, which is Elmhurst, Rego Park, Middle Village, Forest Hills, Kew Gardens Hills, Briarwood, and are looking for a political club, please feel free to visit us. We are Central Queens Independent Democrats called Squid. You can find us on Instagram or Twitter, and we would love to have you. Thank you all for being here and joining the time.
Alright, it is about to be time for the end of the break. If we can have all candidates come back. Yeah, you're doing great. Alright, we're starting the candidate forum again soon. If everyone can have their seats. Everyone please have their seats. We have your audience. Yeah, there should be. Alright, if we can have everyone to please have a seat. Love the lovely conversations, but we do need to get back on schedule. For those that were coming in late and were standing, we do have seats on the other side of the room that's available for everyone. We have a lot of empty seats actually. We have a lot of empty seats in the back over here. Please have a seat so we can get things started. Alright, thank you so much everyone. If everyone can please have a seat. If you're currently standing, we have a lot of seats on the other side of the room so you can also comfortably enjoy this forum. Wait for one more person. There we are. Alright. If you're standing in the back, there are seats right here. I promise the people over here do not bite. They might. I don't know. Oh. That's why we need more funding.
Can you get somebody taller to help us out here?
Honestly, kind of glad that it stuck around for as long as it did. Oh, we got reinforcements. There we go.
That's what I call letting it
Beautiful. This is what happens when community comes together.
It's never coming down here.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna be starting in like literally a few seconds. Sweet. Okay.
It's more artistic.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you had an amazing break. Had to use the restroom or drink water or just have vibes. Lovely, lovely. We'll get things started right back again with some of our questions that our lovely audience has provided to us, as well as any in-house questions that we have. We'll start things off with an in-house question regarding labor and unions. The Protecting the Right to Organize, or PRO Act, is a major federal labor law proposal that would expand collective bargaining rights, strengthen protections against employer retaliation, and update union election procedures. Supporters argue it would help rebalance power in the workplace and improve conditions for workers, while critics raise concerns about its potential impact on small businesses, independent contractors, and existing employment structures. What is your position on the PRO Act or similar federal labor law reforms, and why? We'll start things off with Vishal Kumar to start things off.
Sure. We're back on? Hey. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your break. Workers have been suffering on behalf of corporations for generations. Every single day there would be a worker that would walk into my office and they would be suffering from either having been misclassified and therefore they didn't get their wages. That even at times that because of their involvement with the criminal legal system, their unions couldn't protect them or represent them because they were disqualified under those rules. Or they couldn't get unemployment insurance because it turned out that they didn't actually get an opportunity to pay in. And they didn't know this, right? They thought that unemployment insurance was a right that you had because that is what was communicated to them. And when we think about comprehensive worker protection, that is critical to ensuring that we're closing the gap in our current economic climate. Yes, the PRO Act, absolutely. We need stronger unions, we need it easier to unionize, and we need to end the misclassification of workers that the ABC test will do for us. But we also need to recognize that 60% of workers today aren't in a classic W-2 salary position, and we need to be expansive in thinking about what worker protection looks like moving forward.
Thank you so much. For President Antonio Reynoso.
Yeah. So when we organize, we win. And that is something that we know here in New York City, but it's not like that in the rest of this country. There's a small percentage of people that are unionized throughout this country. And we need to start working to make it so that people can organize, their legal right to organize across this country. But in different states, there are laws, like the right to work law, for example, that threaten us every single day. NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, it's a very biased and conservative, depending on who the president is. It's not an independent system. So everywhere you go, you see issues with our ability to organize, and the PRO Act will help solve for those issues with a national opportunity. When I was working for ACORN, or NYCC, I was organizing childcare providers to be a part of the UFT union. They saw childcare providers as babysitters, and we saw them as early childhood educators. And in our work, after 9 months, they became a part of the UFT union. The first time I ever got arrested was after I got elected. My mom wasn't happy about that because 32BJ was fighting at the airports in JFK for a right to contract, for a contract. Every single time in New York City, we know if we organize, we win. We never lose. But it's not like that in the rest of this country, and the PRO Act will help solve for that and allow for a New York City environment for this entire country.
Thank you so much. Assembly Member Valdez.
Absolutely. So if you enjoyed that break, you probably love a union. So I was the beneficiary of a union. I was proudly a member of UAW Local 2110, and it won me good wages and lunch breaks, 15-minute breaks, the basic minimums that workers absolutely deserve. So many workers right now would like to join a union, but they have no clear path to doing it, either because of misclassification, they don't have the resources, they don't know how to, and the federal government should absolutely be playing a role in making this as easy as possible for workers to come together and demand exactly what they're owed. Building the labor movement and getting as many people as possible into unions isn't just a matter of wages, though. This is how we confront the affordability crisis, and it's how we confront the crisis of our democracy. Because when you fight for your rights in the workplace, you don't leave that power on the shop floor. You take it out into every single part of your life. You organize your building, you organize with your neighbors, you organize to demand exactly what you're owed in every single avenue of your life. And that is what we need right now more than ever. Unions are incredibly popular, people would like to join them. The PRO Act can help level the playing field, and we can look at things like a federal program to help, like matching funds to help unions do new organizing when their resources are scarce. We can look at other legislation to make sure that workers are protected, no matter if they're immigrants or American citizens, whoever they are, that they are protected and don't have to fear standing up against bad bosses, because that is exactly how we win.
Thank you. Councilmember Julie Wan.
You hear it all the time that, they may have money, but we have people. And if we're collected and we're standing in solidarity with each other in a union, we are going to be at a stronger place. Right now, 100%, we have to pass the PRO Act. It is long overdue. And we also have to make sure that we're not allowing corporations or even the government against their own union workers using immigration status to bust unions. So if I were elected to Congress, I would introduce an Immigration Worker Protection Act to make sure that there's a federal firewall between wage theft enforcement and immigration enforcement, so that immigrants are not afraid to report stolen wages because they're not U.S. citizens. So I know that unions have, again and again, they have been one of the strongest forces that have come out for Hands Off NYC, for No Kings. So I know that we're going to continue to work together, but I want to be hyper-focused on making sure that we have immigrant protections coupled with union protections, because we cannot allow the federal government, especially under this Republican regime, fascist regime, that we are allowing them to pit us against each other and allowing them to attack immigrant neighbors.
Thank you also very much for your answers. We're going to start our next question with Claire Valdez, and this question was submitted by Mary Billieu on transgender rights. Across the country, transgender youth face increasing challenges related to safety, access to health care, and equal treatment in schools and public life. Federal policy plays a significant role in shaping protections for young people and ensuring that civil rights are upheld. How would you approach safeguarding the rights and well-being of transgender children?
Absolutely, and this is one of the greatest threats to our society right now, because this administration thinks that if they can divide us against each other, if they can pick off the most vulnerable people, that we'll let it go without a fight, and we won't. Right now, trans youth and transgender people all over this country are literally being erased from national monuments, from websites, and are fleeing to New York City and to New York State for safety and for health care. This isn't just, and it isn't right, and we can't allow it to happen. We have to be enshrining the rights for health care, for gender-affirming care. We have to be standing up against private hospitals that have said that they will not provide gender-affirming care under this administration, and making sure that they follow the law and comply. We have to make sure that we're building housing for trans youth, and that, as a population that is most at risk of homelessness and being vulnerable to evictions, that they have safe and stable housing. We have to pass Medicare for All, and Medicare for All has to include gender-affirming care as a right. There are resources we can pour in to make sure that this population is taken care of. The Trump administration ended the transgender hotline 988. I was proud to stand with CWA workers who are being terminated in that fight, who are an absolute lifeline to transgender youth when they're at deeply dark moments in their lives. We have to bring that line back, and we have to make sure that we're giving the resources that we need to housing and healthcare and enshrining rights for all.
Thank you for that answer. Councilmember Wong.
As we just talked about for labor rights as well, it's just incredibly horrific of what we're witnessing right now. We've had transgender youth who've come to my office heartbroken because they are no longer able to access the healthcare that they were once getting from NYU, right here in our city of New York. So we have to make sure that we fight back, and I think we have to make sure that we really understand that even if you yourself are not transgender, that you are being directly impacted. If not, you're directly benefiting. So for example, as a mother of 2 young toddlers, I prefer to use gender-neutral bathrooms because they're larger and allows me to bring both my kids in because I have 2 boys and I'm a woman. And I know that even for our ADA accessible neighbors who say, I prefer to have gender-neutral bathrooms because my health aide is the opposite gender of who I am and I can't bring them into a woman's bathroom, but I'm on a wheelchair and it will make my life so much easier. So we have to make sure that we really understand how we all have to stand in solidarity together and fight for all of our rights together. And I think it's really disgusting of what the Republicans are doing right now. We have to make sure that we're not going back in history, we're moving forward in time, where people should continue to have access to care, especially for the whole entire lifetime, and we should just continue to make sure that there's full funding and that our hospitals themselves are not scared of losing funding by providing healthcare access to our transgender neighbors.
Thank you so much. Public Defender Kumar.
When we implemented holistic defense services at the Bronx Defenders, and then when I built the civil defense practice at Neighborhood Defender Service of Harlem, it was built with the recognition that there's intersectionality in all the issues and communities that we're talking about. When we were talking about immigrant communities, poor Black and brown communities, when we're talking about LGBTQIA communities, we're all impacted by the systems that our government failed to provide for people. Our local government failed to derive for people. They were the ones that were facing the consequences of a system that wasn't designed to meet their needs. That is why we built an institution that would actually do that, that would get them access to care, get them access to housing, healthcare, education opportunities, because those are the critical needs that all of our communities needed. This is exactly what we need to do as well for the transgender community. It's not just about ensuring that we are thinking about their rights, but it's about creating the tent that ensures that their rights are thought about when we think about whatever model of service we want to deliver. So when we talk about Medicare for All, we're thinking about it with that lens because it's about thinking about the intersectionality, and that's what I will make sure that we focus on, that they get access to healthcare, get access to stable housing, get access to education that they can actually afford.
Thank you so much. And lastly, Borough President Reynoso.
Thank you. Just thinking about the investment that the Republican Party and Trump has made into arguably the most vulnerable people in this entire country, which are transgender young people. In Brooklyn, we have a separate set of housing just for the high rate of homelessness that exists for transgender youth. That's the work that we're doing here. And what the Republican Party does very well is pit the people with little against people with less. They want us focusing on this issue that affects a very small amount of people because they can't win on their policies of helping rich people. So they have to find vulnerable populations to go after. And arguably the most vulnerable one is this one. And as a Democratic Party, we have to be the party to ensure what I believe is the civil rights moment of our time, is ensure the rights of transgender people, not only our youth, but transgender people. So when we get to Congress, again, another point or principle that should be foundational in who we are as Democrats is defending transgender rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much for everybody's answers. Now we're going to go for the next question submitted by members of the West Queens Independent Democratic Club on the future of the party. The Democratic Party is navigating internal debates, balancing perspectives and priorities across many topics, such as economic injustice, climate action, healthcare, civil rights, and more. As conversations continue about what the party should stand for, how do you envision the future of the Democratic Party, and what principles do you believe should guide said future? We're going to start with Councilmember 1.
We just witnessed election of a lifetime. where the traditional Democratic Party said that our current mayor, or our newest elected mayor, had no chance. And he was able to spread a message of hope, spread a message of moral fortitude to show us that we have a better future if we are willing to organize for it. And I believe that we want to see more social programming. We want to make sure that there's adequate taxes, especially taxing the rich, so that we're all paying our fair share for universal childcare, for making sure that our public schools are fully funded, to make sure that we have fast and better efficient public transit so that we can get to work on time, and making sure that our government is just working for people. Right now, I'd say that the Democratic Party has not been great at it. And we have to make sure that we have leaders who are willing to stand up and fight back, to claw back every single federal dollar that the Republican Party has taken away from us. And we can't just sit there saying, oh, well, you know, this is just, we're just gonna lay down and die or roll over, as we've seen over and over again with a lot of the bills that we've been fighting against, making sure that we don't have billions of dollars being poured into ICE, that we're not seeing our neighbors being snatched up at bus stops, that we're not seeing transgender rights disappearing overnight, even women's reproductive rights disappearing overnight, that we have leaders who are going to stand up, be conscientious of what we're fighting for, and make sure that we're digging in our heels until we win back the House as well as the White House, and we have to expand the courts.
Thank you very much. Public Defender Kumar. Yes.
I like this Public Defender Kumar.
I know.
Stop using Mitchell. Just again, Mitchell, like Mitchell with a B. Look, people don't trust government. That's just the reality. And they don't trust politicians. And why should they? What has the establishment done to prove themselves worthy of the votes that they're constantly pandering for? They don't deliver real results for working people. They don't create institutions that actually meet their needs. And they certainly don't listen. So when we're talking about what the Democratic Party should stand for, we should start with why it's not working today. We can have a conversation about whether it's corporate Dems or it's more progressive Dems, whether it's rural Dems or more urban Dems. It doesn't really matter, because people don't trust any of them. Because what have they delivered? Client after client, who I, maybe not wisely ask about politics, feel like, Bitchell, I don't vote. Bitchell, what has government done for me? Bitchell, what does it matter if it's Democrat or Republican? They just line their pockets anyways. So what we need to do is focus on ideology that is actually about delivering real working class results for people, showing up when they actually need us, not just because we need their vote, and instilling leaders that understand their needs because they've actually done the work.
Thank you very much. President Reynoso.
Yeah, I'm going to give you 30 seconds after this because I just disagree with Kumar's perspective. I think there's a certain type of Democrat that people are tired of, and it's these establishment corporate Dems that are knee-deep in incrementalism and can't see a crisis hitting them in the face. What we need are people in government that can see a crisis and have a crisis-level reaction to solve for the issues of everyday people, and that's what we need. What I think you see in New York City with the progressive movement, the socialist movement, is an effort by the Democratic Party to not make government run better, but make government different and completely different. And it be a party that looks out for the interests of the working people. Because I don't want to dismiss the work that these elected officials, I won't even talk to myself, that these elected officials have done for their community. Judy Wan has done thousands of units of affordable housing for her district during a housing crisis. You can't just dismiss that because it's a good talking point to say that elected officials are not doing anything. The amount of funding that we were able to get to schools in this district, in Ridgewood specifically, is significant. We've been able to do work on maternal health to save the lives of black women that are dying at 8 times the rate as their white counterparts. Those are the type of Democrats people are looking for. There's just not enough of us in Congress. The other thing is that there's 4 people here that I think will do better than a lot of people in Congress, but there's only one of us that's going to be able to make it there. That's an unfortunate thing that we're all coming from this district. I wish we could spread the love and go to other places, but we can't. But I just want to say that what people are looking for are fighters that can get things done in government, and that's the type of congressperson that I'll be.
Thank you so much, President. We're going to get it back to Public Defender Kumar for a response. We're going to give you 30 seconds, all right?
First response. I don't disagree that there is the corporate Dems, quote unquote, are the ones that people are sick of. But that is actually painting a broad brush. What people are really sick and tired of is hearing empty promises, because delivery is not what happens. When government starts talking about, I'm progressive, but there's bureaucracy. I'm progressive, I'm trying, but it's hard. That is what people don't want to hear. What people want to see is people that turn over every single stone to deliver the result that they've asked for.
Thank you so much for your response. Now we're going to go with Assemblymember Valdez.
The Democrats lost 2024 because they were not paying attention to the base of the party. They were not laser focused on an agenda that centers working class people, and they were ignoring the reality that the Biden administration had been funding a genocide in Gaza, and that the Democratic base was sick of it. That we don't want to see our money bombing refugee camps and displacing innocent people. We don't want to see our money being poured into wars. We want to see real investments in our community. If the Democratic Party had been paying attention to the base, they would have actually been working for a ceasefire when they said they were. We would have passed Medicare for all so that everyone could have health care free at the point of service. And we'd be investing in permanently affordable housing all over this country. The Democratic Party could have been treating the labor movement and unions like the pillar of American democracy that they are, instead of just turnout machines. But the Democratic Party has taken the base for granted, and in doing so, they have pushed people out of the political process. I know so many people who didn't go to vote in 2024, who don't go to vote now. I've knocked on thousands and thousands of doors all over this city, and the biggest thing that we have to overcome is not difference in politics, it is differences in a belief that government can actually deliver for people and that Democrats are worthy of supporting. So to right the ship, Democrats need to start listening to the base. They need to start standing up for justice. They need to end the genocide in Gaza. They need to stand for working people, and they need to remember that we're the ones who put them in office.
Thank you so much. When we were planning things out, we thought we would only have like time for 5 questions, but you guys have been so respectful, with maybe 6, 7 questions in total. So our last question, before we move into the rapid question, is an in-house question on, I said questions so many times. It'll be on immigration. Immigration policy continues to be a pressing issue, with ongoing debates about pathways to citizenship, the treatment of asylum seekers, and the role of ICE and its activities across New York City. Concerns include family separation, detention practices, and the impact of immigration raids on public safety and trust. As discussions about comprehensive immigration reform and the future of agencies like ICE continue, what approach would you take to immigration policy at the federal level? We'll start things off with Board President Reynoso.
Yeah, I get to say abolish ICE. So that's great. They keep landing on this, so you'll get your check in the mail. No, abolishing ICE. This is an agency that started in the early 2000s. It was completely unnecessary. Supposedly to go on the scalpel within the immigration world to go after, the worst people. And then you turn that scalpel into a hammer, into a sword, and have a completely useless agency with a lot of resources with nothing to do. So what do? They go after 5-year-olds, they go after teachers, they go after students, they go after people in hospitals, in churches, because they have nothing to do, because they have no value. We have to abolish ICE. This is not a conversation that we should even be starting with. We've actually made it more mainstream. I want to say that I was part of the group that got rid of ICE from Rikers when we were in the city council in 2015. And it gets back to saying that was before it was cool. When now everybody's saying abolish ICE. Centrist Democrats are saying abolish ICE. We did that when it wasn't cool. Because every step of my career, you will always see me put my neck on the line for things that might seem currently unpopular, but are the right moral things to do. And we made it happen and we got it done. We also need to talk about paths to citizenship, especially for TPS, temporary protected people. We got people from Haiti. We got people from Haiti that have been here for 15 years, don't know anything about their country anymore, have completely established their lives, have kids and families, and we're asking them to go back to Haiti. I want a path to citizenship for TPS, or temporary protective status folks that have been here for a certain amount of time, and DACA students. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yep. Assemblymember Valdez.
Yeah, abolish ICE. The receiver agrees. We have to abolish ICE. As was already stated, I think most of us on the stage are older than this agency. It was spun up in response to a crisis, and it has no use in this country. It was used to surveil our immigrant neighbors, and it is now being used to murder immigrants behind closed doors in detention centers. Dozens have already died under this administration, and it's profoundly unjust. We need real accountability for the people who made this happen, you know, because again, ICE is not an agency that spun out of nowhere. It was built, it was designed to terrorize people, and now it has been militarized and funded with billions and billions of our taxpayer dollars. And there needs to be real justice and accountability to the people who've been propping it up. We need pathways to citizenship. I agree. We need to make sure that folks with TPS who are able to stay and have a pathway to citizenship. We need to increase the caps on refugees who are coming to this country. And we need to acknowledge the role that the United States plays in displacing people through wars, through environmental degradation, through disasters, through sanctions. People are fleeing to this country for a reason. And we need to be advancing again a policy of cooperation, of global solidarity, and helping the people who we have displaced from their homes for all kinds of different reasons. But absolutely, we have to abolish ICE.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Councilmember Wong.
It took me over 10 years to become a naturalized citizen, for me to get my citizenship, and on average it costs most families over $20,000 to do that. And that means working multiple shifts for my parents. That meant me having flashcards with my mother in her 50s, trying to help her make sure that she passes her citizenship exam without her like urinating herself, because she was so nervous, because that one exam can mean everything for my whole entire family. Not only do we have to abolish ICE, but we have to end family separation. It's not okay that we're having conversations right now about birthright citizenship, or even for making sure that people who are naturalized, like me, that I can't afford to get arrested at 26 Federal Plaza, because I would be at risk of having my citizenship stripped from me as an elected official, even though I was there every single week, making sure that all of my constituents had court watch with them. Since taking office, I've opened up the highest amount of migrant shelters in the whole entire city of New York. I opened up 38 shelters, which means that at any given time, I have over 15,000 people who are currently undocumented living in my district, which is why I was the first elected official to make sure that we were working with CUNY Law to have free immigration legal services for every single constituent that walks into my office. And I've also trained every single neighborhood within my district with rapid ICE response, so that neighbors like you who care about our immigrant neighbors are willing to stand up, that you're there to protect them when you see ICE at their door. And that's what I'll continue to do. Because when you've lived through this heinous process, I came here after a fiscal collapse of my country. My parents had no other choice but to come here because of the financial collapse. My parents gave up everything they had, from being people who had white-collar jobs to becoming a nail salon worker, working at wineries as a warehouse people. People don't come here for just for dreams and vibes. People are coming here because they are trying to survive.
Thank you, Julie.
Oh,
Thank
sorry,
you.
I forgot to look at the time. Okay, thank you.
No worries. And last but not least, Public Defender Kumar.
ICE was created after 9/11 to target people that look like me. That's why ICE was created. For 20 years, I have listened to community member after community member walk into my office. The first one saying, "Vigil, my husband did not come home last night. Do you know where they are?" And I would have to look and find them in an immigration detention center that was not in New York. It's in Harlingen, Texas, or it was in New Mexico, or it was in Arizona. Because ICE made sure that they took people as far away as possible from their family, from their loved ones, from their community, and from their lawyers, because they would give up. So when we're talking about ICE, abolishing ICE is great, but we need to dismantle the entire thing. It's not just the rogue law enforcement agency that we see running around the streets terrorizing our communities. It's the detention system, it's the surveillance system that is being created behind its back. And if we just pay attention to what's in front of us, we'll miss the whole point. Dismantle ICE. We need a real pathway for immigration status for the millions of people that live here in this country today. Look, it's great to give press conferences and talk about abolishing ICE. It's amazing to share one vote to make sure that we get ICE out of Rikers. It's a whole nother thing to sit at the kitchen table with community members every day for the last 20 years that have been targeted by ICE.
Thank you so much. All right, that ends our question period. We'll now come back into rapid fire questions as well. These are basically questions that audience have provided, but basically we don't have time to go for a long, form kind of question. So in a few words, please. Should the federal minimum wage be increased? Yes or no? We can start with any.
Yes.
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 All right.
Do you support a binding self-determination process for Puerto Rico?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
What's one quality about yourself that makes you the best candidate?
Oh my God.
In just a couple words?
Please.
I'm a labor organizer.
Good skin, just kidding. I would say that right now, I'm currently the only person who's running with a tech background. Right now, we are in the midst of an AI revolution, just like the Industrial Revolution. If we don't prepare our workforce for what is coming, we are going to have a lot of issues for the future of.
Thank you.
Okay, I know you're giving me the side. Pass the mic.
I'm a brown middle-class dad, and I don't think we have enough of those voices in Congress.
Real.
I build solutions because government fails.
Thank you. And last rapid fire question, do you accept any donations from corporate PACs?
No.
No corporate PACs, no special interests, no dark money, no individual expenditures, none of that.
Individual expenditure?
Independent.
Independent.
No APAC, no real estate, no fossil fuel money, no corporate PACs.
No.
Well, thank you so much to everybody for answering these rapid fire questions. Now, we'll go ahead with our candidates' closing statements. We'll start with Council Member Julie Wan.
From the moment that you're born until the day that you die, I believe that our government should be a safety net for you when you're the most vulnerable. That means that when you're too sick to work, when you're too old to work, when you're too young to work, right now our society treats you as if you're worthless. And we have to fix that. And these are not radical ideas. We deserve universal health care. We deserve universal child care. We deserve prenatal postpartum care, retirement with dignity, to make sure that you have burial assistance. These are very simple things that we have on the state levels, all across the country, and we can expand them countrywide. So know that I'm coming here with a lived experience of knowing what it's like to be a child that grew up on public benefits, what it's like to be an immigrant in this country, to know that it's incredibly frustrating to be on the receiving end of trying to get your benefits processed so that you can just make your rent the next month. So I'll always be here for you no matter what, as a council member or your Congress member, and we're going to continue to work together, especially because many of us will continue to serve together in the government. And I believe that you have a really great slate of community organizers and advocates and elected officials who have your best interest in mind. And like I said in my opening, as I do in my closing, I do believe that we have a really great collective of candidates who are going to run positive campaigns, I hope, run positive campaigns and make sure that your voice is heard and that you really truly feel seen and heard and cared for by our government, because you do have pretty good elected ones over here.
Thank you so much. Member Carolyn Maloney.
Yeah. Thank you again, everyone, for organizing this. Thanks to the Ridgewood Democratic Club for hosting us. Thanks to you all for giving us part of a really beautiful Sunday. I know intimately what it's like to work terrible jobs, to feel like I am powerless, to feel like the only thing ahead of me is the next shift. My union changed my life. Organizing changed my life. And that is exactly why I'm running for Congress. To make sure that every single person in this country feels capable of organizing their life, to change their circumstances, and to come together. That's exactly what this campaign is about. We have 1,300 volunteers who are knocking doors all over this district. I started out knocking doors for Bernie Sanders and really believe in the transformational power of speaking to your neighbors, developing your organization, and becoming a leader in your life. I want to pass the PRO Act, win Medicare for all, win housing for all, end the genocide in Gaza, and end forever wars. And we have to be advancing a progressive, democratic socialist vision for what this country can win when everyday working people are made powerful in their own lives. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. And now, Borough President Antonio Reynoso.
So this was a lot of fun today. You're gonna have a hard time really. It's who goes first. Because we are gonna say mostly the same things. Because our values are really aligned here in this crew. What I ask is that you choose or you support the elected official that is going to be able to follow through the best. And I have the longest track record, the receipts, of doing meaningful things in the progressive movement. Passing legislation that has affected meaningful change in your lives. And that went sent to Congress, and arguably the most difficult place to get things done, that you send somebody that's ready to do it on day one. This is a time when experience actually matters. I am the youngest borough president elected to a 4-year term, the first Dominican elected citywide. None of that happened by mistake. It happened because the people of Brooklyn saw the work that I actually did. They didn't elect me because I say nice things. They didn't elect me because I had a cool slogan. It's because when they did the research, they looked behind the mailer that we're going to send, there were things that we could actually talk about on the differences we've made. And I don't think this year, especially with the people that we have to fight when we get there, is a time to not put experienced people that can actually get things done front and center. So I ask you all to support me in this campaign. I just want to, I always say spread love is the Brooklyn way, but I'm representing a bi-borough district, so also please get the money. But thank you guys very much, and this is a lot of fun today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, public defender, Kumar.
Did you not have a cool slogan?
No, I don't.
Oh. Thank you all for being here, and to our hosts for making this event happen. Please support this club. We got another leak. We got to make sure we fix that leak, people, so we can be back here next week. Sound good for y'all? You've heard from 4 people running for office tonight. You've heard lots about policies. You've heard lots about plans. You've heard lots about proposals. Because that's what we talk about when we're running for office. Let me tell you what I've been running towards for the last 20 years. I've been running towards the people, the working families, that this government has failed every single day. When ICE has been at their door, when their landlords tried to evict them, when their employers deprived them of their rights, that is where I was. And that's where I put my head down and made sure that we created and built systems and institutions that supported them through the crises in their life because government couldn't do that. We have the opportunity right now to send someone who has created solutions, who's been a builder, who has protected immigrant, working class, everyday New Yorkers for the last 20 years. Look, ideology, it takes generations. Plans take years. But the harm is being what's inflicted every single day. It's what I've lived, it's the work that I've done for 20 years, and it's what I'll take to Congress. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our candidates for being here tonight and for engaging in a thoughtful discussion about the future of New York City overall, and especially in Congress District 7. I also would like everyone to give a round of applause to our candidates for coming over. And especially a round of applause to all of the staff and the volunteers that came out and showed up. They've done amazing work with setting the entire room, cleaning the entire room, especially with all the leaks and everything, making sure that people are checked in, making sure that everyone's having a great time and everything. So can't have this event possible without the help of our volunteers coming up and taking their time, especially like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to make this possible. I also want to thank everyone in the audience, whether you joined us in person or tuned in virtually. Y'all took the time to stay informed and engaged, and especially with a district like this, its diversity, its energy, and complexity, it's no surprise that y'all showed up with the toughest questions that we had to ask.
Beyond policy differences and ideologies, what matters most now is participation. Our democracy is strongest when people show up. when they vote, when they organize, and when they hold their elected officials accountable. So as we leave tonight, I encourage everyone to please stay engaged. Learn about the candidates, talk to your neighbors, and most importantly, make a plan to vote.
And I will wrap it all up, reminding everybody that Election Day is Tuesday, June 23rd, and polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. New York City also does early voting, and that will be running from June 13th until June 21st. I am an early voter. I always vote on the first early voting, but I encourage everybody to do the same. Be sure to show up at the polls to cast your ballot for any one of these candidates. And bring your friends and family there too, or even vote by absentee ballot. Thank you again to our candidates, our partners, and everyone who made this night possible. Have a great evening and have a great and safe trip home.
You can also get a group photo with all the candidates as well. Yeah, behind the Richard Dems, of course.
Thank you. You have to tell the shout.
You all also have a really good time.
Thank you.
No, it's all good. Thank you.
Let's do candidates first and then let's have yeah. So we'll have the group photo with the candidates first and then all the partners and staff and volunteers afterwards to join out the candidates in the photo. For now.
Okay.
There's more friends coming soon. Just give a moment for that. All right, can we have people from Latino Dems in New York City, Ridgewood Dems, Queens County Young Dems, Squid, and Western Queens Democratic Hub to please come to them.
Everybody take care of their own thing.
I'm flattered. It's all volunteers. Anywhere.
But then I'm gonna like block people. You're totally wrong. It's just that.
Do you guys see us on the corner? Everybody scoot in a little bit.
Okay, there it is, but don't crush. Under excited.
Good job, everyone.
One more really quick shout out I want to give. I want to give a shout out to Viewers Television News, who are the people that helped to make this live stream possible as well. Thank you so much. All right, have a wonderful night, y'all.
You have fun?
Yes, of course.
Thanks so much for the
Thank you. But it was actually created as a I've been dealing with ice for a long time.
I was like triangle. I was like triangle. I was like so many words. Then I was like camera.
Take a break. Yeah, then we'll keep later on.
It's tightly run, like very nice. Put a wonderful I appreciate it. As a candidate, I was like, what's going to happen? It's like, it's nice to be like, here's what's you just walk in and get the worst possible.
I was at the Greenpoint protest. So I wanted to ask you about the towers, 60-story, 40-story, 3 big towers.
No, you learn a lot. I was just at my community. Oh my God, you just very turned on to right now. I did a soft video for the city agency, but I'm waiting for salary before I get hyped up about it. Because, you know, I'm one of these citizens who I not only don't count my chickens before they hatch, I don't even talk about the chickens. The eggs that I have. Because I do this, it's not superstitious. I don't know, it's just I wouldn't call it insecurity, but I guess I want to be just so careful. You know what I mean? Like, I never just for sure fire. I never want to be a so I'm hoping it just takes 6 to 8 weeks. You know, city is over quick. Yeah, it's weird.
If there are water bottles left remaining, y'all are more than welcome to grab one.
Oh yeah. And everyone else is tied up. This campaign is too short, so I kind of ran part of it. Which is great. It's so organized. Everything seems so easy. I'm always appreciative. I want to do intergovernmental affairs for city agencies, so, and I want to stay in city. So, unfortunately, this job's up. So, I'll let you know as soon as I know.